Morning, folks. Been doing this little series of videos talking about the supply chain. Last video I talked about diesel prices. And of all things today, I'm going to talk about river barges. You know, Hank Williams had a song. The Mississippi River, she's going dry. It's more than a song lyric now. It's really happening. There's sections of the Mississippi now that are basically just mud walls because of the intense drought we had this last summer. And that's causing some tremendous problems. It's a lot of people don't realize it, but there is a whole lot of freight that still moves on our river system. Barges. On the Tennessee River, the Ohio River, the Kentucky River, of course the Mississippi River. And if you've ever been out that way, you've seen them before going up and down the Mississippi, these big push boats, tugboats, or whatever you want to call them. And they'll be pushing barges 3 wide, 6 or 8 deep. Well, 3 wide, 6 deep, that's 18 barges. From what I understand, each one of those barges carries 35 semi-trucks worth of freight. Now, mostly what gets moved up and down the rivers is bulk products like corn or wheat or fertilizer, cement, or just whatever. Just bulk products. And most of the things going down the Mississippi towards the Gulf of Mexico are going down to New Orleans to get put on a ship and exported. That's where a lot of, our corn and stuff goes. And stuff going up the Mississippi is stuff being took up to the Midwest from the port or from the south that the manufacturing centers up there in such need. And the problem is these big, where it's getting too shallow to move those barges along, it causes a multitude of problems. They're trying to dredge it, and that's a whole other subject. There, the government was supposed to have a department that's all they do is keep our waterways dredged so these barges can move. Well, of course, it's one of the things that just never got funded. Because nobody saw it as important until we end up in this situation. Well, they're dredging it. Well, a dredge can only dredge a dredge so wide and so deep. I think they said they need 12 foot of water to run those barges when they're loaded. Well, them barges 3 wide are, oh God, they gotta be 50 or 60 feet wide when they're strapped together like that. Probably even wider than that. Yeah, it'd be significantly wider than that. Probably 60 to 80 feet wide. Well, they're not dredging channels that wide. Plus, Mississippi River's not in a straight line. They got to follow the curves and stuff. Well, think about a barge that's 400 feet long. By the time you strap the barges together and put the boat on the end. When they go to make a turn, go back to geometry. Trying to go around that turn, how big that dredge hole would have to be for everything to clear. So what's happened? One, they're not able to fully load the barges, so they're not drawing as deep a draft. And number 2, they're not being able to hook into as many barges. They're not be able to do the 3 wide. You know, they have to pull single barges. I heard a news report where one boat captain said he was able to push 2 barges at a time instead of 18, because that's all they could fit through the channel they were making. And being that the Mississippi River is a continuously flowing item, they're having to continuously dredge these channels, because as quick as they dredge them, they fill back up with river silt. Well, needless to say, they're losing that fight. They simply don't have the equipment or the manpower to keep up. Well, the consequences of this is that corn and grain and everything, it's harvest season. Everything's being harvested right now. Well, that corn, grain is needing to go to New Orleans to get exported to other countries. More so this year than any year, because of the situation happening in Ukraine and Russia. They're 2 of the largest, world's largest exporters of grain. Well, they're kind of taken out of the system right now, so we're having to fill the gap. Well, if we can't get the grain to the ship, we can't fill the gap. Because, they can put it on a truck or a train. Well, yeah, they can. Well, I said about 35 truckloads for 1 barge. And then one boat typically pushes, you know, from 12 to 20 barges. You do the math. Sure, trains can carry a little bit more. But the railroads, which my next video is on, are having their own problems. And what this is going to do is this is going to drive the cost up. I already said that a barge right now is costing triple what it costed just a couple months ago. That cost gets passed on, people. And the news is trying to make a big deal. Well, that's exported corn. It's going to cost other countries as much, but we're going to save money. No. Because let me tell you, ConAgra's selling that corn to Germany, and ConAgra is selling that corn to us. If they're losing their butt selling it to Germany, what do you think ConAgra's going to do? They're going to level out that playing field. They're going to level out those costs. They're going to raise our prices so they don't have to raise Europe's prices as high. And they're going to make money all the way across the board. But again, back to the trucks and trains. Okay, let's say they started loading down trucks and trains with grain. Go down to New Orleans, put it on a boat. Well, you know, there's a finite amount of trucks and trains. They can't just, if they need more, they just can't, you know, pull them out of a warehouse somewhere and put them on the road. So every one of those truckloads or train loads that's used to haul grain to the Gulf to be exported is a truck or a train load of something else that's not getting moved. Where I'm getting it and where I'm getting with this whole series is when you mess with this balance, it messes the whole system up. here to haul this, well, then they're not there to haul that. You take train cars and start hauling grain to the Gulf, well, then there won't be train cars to haul diesel fuel to New England. Get where I'm going with this? That's just the way it works. There's only so many trucks, only so many truck drivers, only so many trains. A train engine can only pull so many cars. There are only so many train tracks in this country. And the bad thing about this whole thing about the river being dry is we're at the mercy of that river. There's really nothing that can be done to make it fix itself any quicker, other than having some massive project where you get bunches of dredge. But you know, you can't just build a dredge overnight, or you can't just move a dredge that's in Mobile, Alabama to St. Louis overnight. It all takes time. And for a job that's been neglected for 30 years, just like everything else, we're paying for our sins. And this problem is just starting. And it's going to compound on top of all the other problems. You thought inflation was going away? Think again. And we got 15 other things to drive up inflation that hasn't even hit us yet. No. Diesel, I gave $5.65 a gallon for diesel yesterday. Now I know you people out west, that ain't nothing. Out here, it's something. And it's not really affecting me, because that diesel cost goes right through the shipper, who bills it right through the receiver, who gets right in your pocket for it. They don't eat that cost. And that, boys and girls, is how inflation happens. But don't take my word for it. Go talk to Mr. Google and do a little research about what's going on right now with river traffic. And do a little research on the ramifications of it.
Right, and turn right.
And it shouldn't scare you. But that's long enough on this video. I'll have a couple more coming out on this little series on the current supply chain. The next one's going to be on railroads and some of the issues that's going on there. But y'all have a nice day, and I'll catch you on the flip side.